Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my foundation routine for oily skin. So today I'm just going to be showing you my favorite products that I use for my oily skin. It is very hot and humid here in Chicago. That's where I live. So that is what I'm going to be showing you today. If you have not already, don't forget to subscribe down below. And let's get into the video. So the first step to keeping your makeup on all day is primer. This is really important, especially if you have oily skin, because it's just really going to help your makeup to last all day long. Also going to help to kind of prevent your oils from coming through. Primer is definitely something that's kind of like controversial. People don't really know if it works or not. People don't know if it's just a waste of money, but personally I have found that primers do help me specifically, especially if I don't want to look super oily and dewy and if I just want my makeup to last. If you're oily, you're going to want a primer that's mattifying. There are tons and tons of mattifying primers on the market, but one that I really like is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Mattifying Primer. So not only does this primer help to mattify your face, but it also helps to make your pores smaller, and this is important because when you put makeup on and your pores are very visible, it's just going to make you look oily already. So when you have smaller pores, it's going to make the face look way more airbrushed and just less oily. So also placement is definitely important. If you are not oily all around your face, you do not need to put a primer all over your face. So what I do is I just put it in places where I get really oily. So for me, that's just the T-zone. I put some on my forehead, on my nose, and on my cheeks, like right in this area, because that's just where I get oily. That's where I have the biggest pores, and the rest of my face, kind of like around my face, is just very normal. It doesn't really get super dry, it doesn't get super oily, so I really don't put anything in those areas. So this is just depends specifically on your skin type and what you feel works best for you. This just works best for me, and I feel like a lot of people just really get oily in just their T-zone, so they will just put primer in just the T-zone. Say if you have pretty combination skin, you're oily in your T-zone and you're dry around your face, then maybe put a mattifying primer in your T-zone and maybe just put extra moisturizer, or you can do a hydrating primer on the outer parts of your face. Personally, I don't own any hydrating primers, so I really don't know any ones that are pretty good, just because I don't think I would ever need to use a hydrating primer since I'm already pretty oily. So the next step is foundation, and this is probably the most important part in everything I'm telling you, because this is the base of the face. This is gonna make your face look good or bad. It's gonna make your face look mattifying or dewy. So I have a few different foundations that I want to talk about. So the first one is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. So not only is this pretty mattifying and full coverage, it also looks really good in pictures. This is really gonna last all day. This is honestly, this is probably the foundation I'll wear on my wedding day, just because it holds up so well and also looks good in pictures. So this is a great foundation if you have oily skin. Another foundation that is really great is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation. This is just another foundation that is catered to people with normal to oily skin. I wouldn't say it's like super mattifying, but it definitely gets the job done. It's definitely going to last. And I would say one of the best foundations I have found, especially for people who are like extremely oily, is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte foundation. But this foundation is like super mattifying. It's definitely kind of a range of how oily people get. I'm probably like kind of in the middle. I don't get like super oily anymore like I used to, especially like in high school. I was very oily, but now it's kind of died down a little bit. I still am oily, but not nearly as bad. And there's some people that really don't get super oily, like they'll get a little bit on their T-zone, but not too much. So I'd say I'm definitely in like the middle range, but this foundation is definitely for people who are kind of in the middle range to extremely oily. So I would say if you know you're gonna be in the heat, if you want your foundation to last for like a very long time, then this is definitely the foundation you want to get. So today I'm just going to be using the Maybelline one. I haven't used it in a while, so I thought why not. Another bottle that I hate because it's not a pump, or even like a squeezy tube is better than this. It's hard to like control how much you want to. Okay. So I'm just going to apply that on my face. So again, those are kind of just foundations that I have found that work for me that I really like. There are so many foundations, like really good foundations on the market that are really good for oily skin. You just kind of have to find what works best for you. You know, some mattifying foundations are more mattifying than others. It kind of just depends what you like, or like what you prefer. You know, when I was in high school and I was very oily, I wanted a like very mattifying foundation. That's just kind of what worked best for me. But now that I'm older, skin isn't super oily anymore. I still do enjoy matte foundations, but I also found that I do like some dewy foundations, but I just have to apply them in the right way. I have to use the right primers, and you know, if I use a dewy foundation but I use a mattifying primer and a mattifying setting spray, then I still find that it works for me even though it is dewy. So, you know, everyone has different skin, so you kind of just have to find what combination works best for you. So next for concealer, again, this kind of just depends. So there are pretty mattifying concealers, there's also dewy concealers. So if I want my face to be pretty mattifying, then I'm probably going to use a mattifying concealer. Again, it's just personal preference. If you really hate like your eyes kind of feeling pretty dry, you might not like a mattifying concealer. But for me, I do kind of drag my concealer like down in like a triangle shape, so it does kind of go over my pores, and I found that mattifying concealers really don't accentuate those pores, unlike a, you know, dewy foundation or a dewy concealer would. So I have two concealers that I really like. So the first one is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer, and the second concealer is the Tarte Shape Tape. So these both do a really good job of just mattifying your face and really staying on all day long. So if you do get super oily here, these are really just going to stay on all day. Just wanted to show you guys both because there is a pretty big price difference with them. The Tarte Shape Tape is obviously amazing concealer, but I really have been a fan of the ColourPop concealer lately. So yeah, I'm kind of just going to mix both of them under my eyes. So I find that the Tarte is pretty full coverage, so it's a little bit more full coverage than the ColourPop, but the ColourPop is still very full coverage. Now I'm taking the ColourPop and I'm just going to put some under here and on my eyes, down my nose. That line is not straight on my nose. I always have trouble getting like a straight line on my nose. I can't draw straight. And I'm just going to take my same foundation brush and just blend that out. So again, just kind of depending how you want to do it. You don't have to bring your foundation all the way down to your pores. You can just keep it on your under eyes. I just like the way this looks, but you know, do whatever you like. Okay, so now that we have concealer done, the next step is powder. So you can cream contour if you want. I'm just going to go straight in with powder, and I'm going to be using the Coty Airspun translucent powder. So I'm just going to take some powder in the lid. So some people like to bake. It's kind of what I'm going to do because I do find that baking helps my makeup last a little bit longer. So you can bake with a damp beauty sponge. A lot of people do that. I'm just going to bake with a little Real Techniques setting brush. So what I do is I just take a lot of product on this brush, and I'm just going to pat that into where I put my concealer. So you kind of want to just pat it into where you get pretty oily. You don't have to pat it like all over your face. So I'm just patting it kind of where I get big pores here, on the side of my nose, on my forehead, there's powder everywhere, and on the top of my nose. So while that's sitting, I'm just gonna set the rest of my face. So my eyelids, of course. And then I'm gonna take a bigger powder brush and apply some powder everywhere else. Not nearly as much because, again, I don't really need as much powder on the outer parts of my face. So kind of just depending on how long you want to leave the bake on. I only leave mine on for like 2 to 3 minutes. Some people leave theirs on, well, for 10 minutes while they're doing their eyeshadow or other, makeup, but I just find that 2 to 3 minutes is perfectly fine for me. So I'm going to take my big fluffy brush and just dust off the bake. Okay, so now that we're looking pretty matte, I do have a extra optional step. You probably don't have to do this, but again, if you're on the scale of being, fairly pretty oily to extremely oily, you might want to do this extra step, whether you want to apply the powder now or you want to wait till after you're done with your makeup and apply the powder. What I use is the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. So I kind of just call this like a blotting powder. So depending on what I'm feeling, I may apply the powder after I just finish my makeup. I usually will bring this with me to blot, during the day, whether I'm going somewhere, or sometimes I'll just apply some right now. So that's what I'm gonna do. I said this is just an extra step, an extra layer of powder. So now that the face is completely done, I am going to do the rest of my makeup and then I will be right back. Okay, so I just finished all of my makeup. I know what you're thinking. You're like, your eye looks crazy. I just filmed a Egyptian inspired makeup tutorial, so stay tuned for that. It was really, really fun filming. I do want to talk about one last step I do for my oily skin. So I always take some setting spray. This is definitely going to help keep your face matte and keep your makeup lasting all night long. So I really love the NYX matte setting spray. I also really like the Urban Decay De-Slick setting spray, and the all-nighter is really, really great as well. So I just put some of that on, and I definitely feel like this keeps my makeup lasting all night long and definitely keeps me from getting oily throughout the day. So that is it for my foundation routine for oily skin. I really hope you guys enjoyed and hope I can give you any helpful tips to your foundation routine. The struggle is real when it comes to being really oily, and these tips have definitely helped me throughout the years of being oily and just wanting my makeup to look good, stay on and last all day long. So I hope I could help you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.